Here now to react to all this is Andy McCarthy, National Review contributing editor and former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. We'll talk about the pardons in a second, Andy, but first I want to get to the Russia investigation. You had a couple of terrific pieces. One which really called into question Trey Gowdy. And why it is that all of a sudden, despite all of the anti-Trump people at DOJ and particularly at the FBI, this emphasis that Trey Gowdy now has, and of course the rest of the media does, that this was never an attempt to go after Trump or find out what was happening in the Trump campaign. This was all about Russia and had nothing to do at all with the Trump campaign itself. In the articles, you suggest you don't buy into that, but is there any evidence for what Trey Gowdy has said?
I really don't think so, and I'm disappointed as somebody who admires Congressman Gowdy, but you know, David, this really just flies in the face of things that have been testified to under oath by the FBI. So Congressman Gowdy says that this was all about Russia. It wasn't about Trump, wasn't about the campaign. We've heard that from Senator Rubio as well, somebody else I admire. Former FBI Director Comey has gotten up in Congress on at least 3 separate occasions and said outright that the FBI had a counterintelligence investigation of Russia's interference in the election and the extent to which, if any, the Trump campaign coordinated in Russia's attempt.
So they said, I mean, Trey Gowdy's aware of that testimony where they, in fact, said quite openly that, yes, this was an attempt to figure out what the Trump campaign was doing.
Yeah, to my knowledge, he was in the room when Comey gave the most important testimony, which was the testimony he gave on March 20th, 2017. That testimony, David's particularly important because it really is, it sets, or I should say, Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein used that testimony by Comey to appoint Mueller, the special counsel, and devise the what I regard as the non-existent parameters of his investigation.
All right, well, trying to figure out what's in Trey Gowdy's head is impossible. We can't do that. But some people thought it was because of the fact that what he saw when he met with DOJ officials last week convinced him of that. Now the Federalist is saying that he didn't see anything last week, that the documents were not presented to him.
Well, I don't want to try to read Gowdy's mind, except to say I think what he wants is what I want, but we're both going about it in a different way. He's worried about the effect that this investigation and everything that's been reported about it is having on these important institutions of our government, the Justice Department, the FBI. Yeah. I am too, but I think the only way that you cure this is by transparency and getting to the bottom of what happened.
You don't make things up. Adam Schiff came out with a comment last week saying that essentially the FBI followed all procedures and all protocols in terms of putting an informant or a spy into the Trump campaign or putting one close to the Trump campaign, trying to lure stuff out of them. But I defy Adam Schiff to point to the page in the FBI protocols in which it talks about how exactly you put an informant in a presidential campaign.
Yeah, to put this in a different context, I think people could understand it, David. When I was investigating counterterrorism, let's say I put an informant in a mosque for no other reason than the people in there happened to be Muslims. You know, not because I had any reason to believe that there were, jihadist incitement going on or anything like that. I think Schiff would probably be the first person to say that I had violated people's First Amendment rights. And he really wouldn't care that I had followed to the letter all of the internal regulations about how you use informants.
Andy, I'm so sorry. They're giving me a wrap, but I have to ask quickly. The pardon of Dinesh D'Souza and the coming pardons of Martha Stewart and Blago, what do you think quickly?
I think the pardon of D'Souza in particular is exactly what the framers had in mind. The president has to be able to temper an unjust result, and D'Souza's case was an unjust result.
Andy McCarthy, great to see you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.